A fresh edition of Weather for Weather Geeks here on the 26th day of September 2017, Tuesday evening. And boy, we had another hot one today. In fact, it was a record breaker as expected across the region today. We hit 90 at the Youngstown Warren Airport this afternoon, 93 in New Philly, 92 in Cleveland for a new record up there as well, 89 in Pittsburgh. So 3 out of the last 4 days have been record-breaking or tying. We tied on Sunday, but we set a new record on Saturday and again today, and we just missed tying the record on Monday. Monday's record was 91, so we fell just 2 shy of that. For the month, 3 degrees above the average. That number would be a lot bigger if it wasn't for that cool start to the month. Another perspective here, and this breaks down the entire year. Look at the spike as we've gotten into the second half of September of all the above average temperatures after that cool start to the month. You know, July and August, as is fairly typical, you don't see huge differences from average overall, but certainly the winter, parts of the spring, and parts of the fall, you can see these big spikes. And, you know, this is small potatoes compared to what we had back in the winter, January and February. We had some days where the average temperatures were as much as 30 degrees above the seasonal average. And since we did hit 90 this afternoon, that adds to our tally for the year. We're up to 4 90-degree days, about halfway to average. This should be our last one. If I were a betting man, I would say it was our last one. So it'll be another below-average year. We've strung together 5 consecutive below-average seasons as far as 90-degree days after a few hot summers in 2010, 2011, 2012. The last few have not been all that bad. All right, heading down to the tropics and away from home for just a minute here. This is Maria, which is now a tropical storm, no longer a hurricane. It doesn't look real impressive on the satellite this evening. Maximum winds about 70, pressure at 974, and this is producing some nasty weather for the Outer Banks of North Carolina, with a storm surge concern here, especially down in the southern part of the Sound, and certainly some bad weather for areas right along the coast, but this is not a big rain producer, and most of the real strong winds are pretty confined close to the center. Although the wind field is pretty big, the strongest of the winds are confined near the center of the storm. This is going to get a big time kick out to sea thanks to that cold front coming east. Big time acceleration on the motion here as we go towards the end of the week. So pretty soon Maria is no longer going to be something that we're going to be talking about all that much. All right, one thing we'll be talking about this evening for sure coming up at 8:36, one of the best flybys of the space station this year, almost directly overhead, 84 degrees in elevation, right above our heads is 90 degrees. So very high in the sky, very bright as well. It'll be visible for about 4.5 minutes, appearing at about 8:36 in the southwest sky, and about 4.5 minutes later it'll disappear in the northeast sky. So be sure and check that out. Even if you've seen this many times, it's still always cool to see something that's technically in outer space flying overhead. There are human beings up there, and yeah, just a reminder that the space station doesn't blink. If you see something flying overhead that's blinking, that's an airplane. The space station itself does not blink. I'll send out another reminder on social media beforehand. Our cold front, here it comes. Boy, I'm ready for it. I'm tired of the heat myself. Cold front out here. The reduction in dew points also accompanied by cooler temperatures as this is coming east. Now it's trudging east, not very quickly. This is a 24-hour loop of the dew points. Notice how sluggish this thing is. I mean, it's not making much ground in 24 hours, but it's going to start picking up a little bit of speed, and it's going to arrive here tomorrow. Not much fanfare with it during the day tomorrow, but you'll notice the change by tomorrow night and certainly into Thursday. Our big picture for your Wednesday, we're calling for a tie of the record set back in 1934 tomorrow, 86 degrees. The averages, amazingly enough, are in the upper 60s now at this time of the year. And back in 1957, 29 degrees, hard freeze on the morning of September 27th, 1957. We're under 12 hours of daylight now, and if the month did end today, it would be the 3rd driest September on record and the 19th warmest September on record here in Youngstown. The month is not going to end tomorrow. It is just the 27th of the month, and it's going to be a sunny start to the day. Clouds will start to increase towards lunchtime. This is going to have a hard time squeezing out much. I mean, a sprinkle or a shower, that should be about it. It's a low chance. Cold front pushes east. Thursday's a much different day, a nice day. Mix of sun and clouds, temperatures, upper 60s in the afternoon. Open up the windows, get some fresh air. It's going to be really, really refreshing on Thursday. Now, our best chance to get wet for the next 5, 6, maybe 7 days is on Friday with this trough of low pressure coming in and moving over the lakes. This will be a setup that will lead to some lake enhancement. And there could even be some thunder and lightning closer to the lakes Friday afternoon. A decent chance for showers as far south as Youngstown Friday afternoon and evening. If this were January, this would be lake effect flurries and squalls. All right, back here tomorrow, though, I only have a 20% chance in the forecast from mid-afternoon through early evening. Even if you do see some rain, a couple of hundredths of an inch at most is what we expect. And, the rain totals over the next week are just not that impressive on either the European or GFS model. If we're lucky, we might squeeze out a quarter of an inch over the next week, but I think that's optimistic. I think in reality, over the next week, a tenth of an inch, roughly on average. I mean, this is a dry pattern. I mean, the warmth is remarkable. But not far behind as far as the remarkable nature of this is the lack of moisture. And while next week is not going to be as hot as it has been lately, I think this is a warm pattern as we head into October. Here's our trough coming through at the end of the week, into the weekend, sending us back to normal. But then it doesn't stick. It's a transient thing. And by next week, a powerhouse storm comes into the west coast, pumping up the ridge to the east, and we're flying up into the 70s, and perhaps we're not done with the 80s yet. That's possible that next week, while upper 80s don't seem likely to me, it is possible that next week we'll see some 80 to 85 degree readings a couple of days, maybe during the second half of next week. So I don't see a cool pattern coming anytime soon. A few cooler days at the end of this week and into the weekend, but it's not a cool pattern overall. As we transition into October 1st, hard to believe, is on Sunday. All right, in the meantime, thanks for checking out tonight's weather for Weather Geeks. I'll see you right back here tomorrow evening. I wish you a great Tuesday night.